Was the leak of the National Guard's internal report to the Washington Post truly an accident? Or was it a deliberate move to expose what was happening behind closed doors? In the recent Fair and Balanced YouTube segment, the host unpacks a striking development. The National Guard compiled a survey-based assessment of its own troops who had been deployed against American citizens, then supposedly sent this sensitive internal document not to the Pentagon, as protocol requires, but to the Washington Post. The official explanation claimed this was an accidental email mishap, yet the host immediately casts doubt, sarcastically comparing the alleged mix-up between the Pentagon and the Post as if the names are so similar that such a mistake is understandable. His conclusion is blunt. No one should genuinely believe this was a mere clerical error. The substance of the report itself makes the story even more explosive. According to the leaked assessment, many members of the National Guard felt disgusted, ashamed, and demoralized by what they were ordered to do under the Trump administration's direction. Instead of a clear mission focused on protecting communities, the soldiers expressed feelings of confusion, fatigue, and frustration. Some complained that their tasks devolved into menial activities, such as picking up trash in parks, something the report wryly labeled as just gardening. For troops trained to serve in crisis situations, being left without a defined purpose not only damaged morale, but also eroded their trust in leadership. Even more troubling was the emotional toll. Rather than taking pride in a mission to clear out dangerous criminals, as Trump had publicly framed their deployment, soldiers described an overwhelming sense of shame. To Farron, this gap between the administration's rhetoric and the lived experiences of service members reveals deep dishonesty at the highest levels of government. The official line was that the Guard was maintaining law and order, but the soldiers themselves saw their role as being weaponized to intimidate fellow citizens, a reality that undercut their dignity and sense of service. The Pentagon acknowledged the authenticity of the document, but downplayed its sensitivity, insisting it was never meant for public release. Still, once in the hands of the Washington Post, the findings became a national conversation point. For Farron, this kind of disclosure is essential. The American people have a right to know how political leaders are using the military, particularly when the deployment is aimed inward at their own citizens. He stresses that this accident fits into a larger pattern of intentional leaks during the Trump years, where insiders resorted to going public in order to counter misinformation and expose uncomfortable truths. The broader implications of the leak touch on civil-military relations, democratic accountability, and the risks of eroding public trust in institutions. If soldiers themselves feel they are being turned against the very communities they swore to protect, the legitimacy of both the mission and the leadership directing it comes into question. Moreover, the revelation highlights how over-reliance on force to manage civil unrest may backfire, deepening social divides rather than healing them. Farron closes by underscoring how vital transparency is in moments like these. Though he mocks the official narrative, he makes clear that he is glad the report reached the press. Without such exposures, the public would remain in the dark about the strain and disillusionment inside the ranks of the National Guard. The episode, in his view, is less about bureaucratic mistakes and more about whistleblowing, an act of resistance from within. Will this leak fade away as a footnote dismissed as an accident? Or will it spark broader accountability for the ways political leaders manipulate the military to serve partisan ends?